Hey, what's up, podcast? It's Jeff. Just want to jump in here. This is a special bonus episode of Teach Better Talk. This is actually going to be the audio recording from a Facebook Live that our team is doing every single day, Monday through Friday, at 8 a.m. Eastern Time in our Facebook private group. You can get in that group at teachbettergroup.com or go on to Facebook and just search Teach Better Team. You'll see our page and then you'll see the group. Get in there. So here we go, a special bonus episode of Teach Better Talk pulled from one of our Facebook Live videos in our private group at teachbettergroup.com. Hope you enjoy. My good friend, my old friend, not that you're old, but we're both old. We've been friends for a long time. Mr. Alex Orris. Alex is actually and I just asked you about it, I'm going to forget it. He's a technology integration specialist here in the next town over from me in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Anyone who came out to Teach Better 19 probably knows Alex. He was running around making sure all the rooms were running properly, making sure the tech was up. But wanted to bring you in today because you're in the position of supporting teachers during this crazy time, and a lot of unknowns, a lot of new experiences for a lot of teachers, and you're tasked with the job all the time of helping them integrate technology into their classroom. So now it's all about how do they take that back home and stuff like that too. So hi, Ray. Yeah. Ray says good morning this morning. So that's good to see that our comments are working. The other night after Mastery Chat, the comments weren't showing up, so I had to look on my phone. So hopefully they keep going. So hi, Ray.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wanted to bring you on, Alex, because, we're doing these daily drop-ins, and really the whole reason for these are just to support teachers. So anyone who needs anything, we love just jumping in here, just letting people know that we're here, trying to bring everyone together. There's been a lot of collaboration that comes out of this, a lot of support pieces and stuff like that. Hi, Megan. Good morning. And I thought, well, one, I knew I could get you up nice and early because, friends, so I can pull that card.
Yeah.
But also you're in a position of right now, Ray says, love our daily drop-in, but love it more with Alex, so that's good. Hi, Myrna, how are you? But I think because you're in a unique position where you're supporting teachers, I love to talk kind of through some of the things that you are doing today. And I think if anyone has any questions for maybe some of the uses of technology that you guys are using in your district and your school, that'd be really great. So now you are the middle school integration specialist, correct?
Yes.
I know you do a lot. I know for sure with the high school as well. You in your typical day-to-day do a lot with the elementaries as well, or is it just mainly the?
Not so much. So my role as an instructional technology specialist basically is to help support the teachers in using technology correctly, make it most impactful, and help the students learn tech skills alongside. I more work with the technology integration specialists at the elementary, and they work with their teachers and they work with those students. And then we just added a high school technology integration specialist this past year. So up until then, I was mainly middle school, but I would support the high school, and I kind of do PD throughout the district with different resources.
Yep.
And so basically, January of 17, our team decided instead of us individually putting out resources, we would put them all in one place, which we call Tiger One.
Yep.
It's essentially a web page newsletter. So every month we would update with kind of like 6, we call it Tiger One, but it's, one new idea, one video to watch, one tech tip, one great resource. So what we would do is every month, first Friday of the month, we would just kind of update the homepage, push it back out to staff, and use it as a kind of a toolbox they could go back to, they could look at. If anybody's interested, I'll kind of put it here in the public chat, but we use a short link. It's bit.ly/Tiger One. So we're kind of driving a lot of resources right through that. Actually, Jeff, I don't think I can respond on the public chat, can I?
I don't think you can. No, I don't think you can. I think we can just here. So
there you go.
I don't think you can on there. What's up, Alex? Alex V and Snowy. Northwest Illinois. He says something. So I guess he was just trying to say something.
Yeah, he's on.
So good morning. Good morning, fellow teachers in exile. I love it. Just a reminder, if you are watching, be sure to Ray,
Ray,
you check that link again. That's awesome. That's so Ray right there. But
we're actually doing. It's we spelled out one, so ONE.
Yes, it's
So
BIT.
if Ray's throwing that in.
Thank you. Oh, there you go. Perfect. No, Tiger One O&E. We'll get you there, Ray. I promise. We got you, girl. We're gonna get you there. Just a reminder, if you are watching with us live, good morning, Lisa. Just like Lisa just did, make sure that you put your name somewhere in your comment because of the Facebook privacy regulations in a private group like this, it Be Live, which the system we're using can't show us your name. So make sure you put your name in there so that we know who's talking. So curious, Alex, with everything going on, now you guys were closed. Last week you were down, no students were in, right? You guys were down just like SO was. I know this week we're all on spring break, so it's a little different. But starting last week and looking towards the next week, are you personally more supporting the district as well, or still are you guys your team sticking still to their building?
No, we've definitely widened. We've taken a team approach. So
Gotcha.
our last day for students was Friday, March 13th. So
Same
last
here.
week we basically had what our district and a lot of districts called educational opportunity. So teachers developed online resources, activities, and then printout versions for last week and next week, and kind of our wait and see, which I think we all know what the wait is going to extend to. But these 2 weeks, last and next, are ungraded. Teachers are encouraged to give feedback, but nothing is being graded to this point.
Okay.
And we're kind of embracing and expecting that coming after April 3rd, if and when if and when school is still shut down, then we'll kind of move to actual online instruction. I guess that's the way we're going, right? So a lot of the tools we've been putting out on Tiger One, I kind of broke it down when we made this homepage. We kind of broke it down into some sections. If anybody's checking it out, you might see things that are blocked since it's specific to just our users. But mainly, and again, we're taking a team approach. So one thing we decided to do as a team is once or twice a day offer live online instructional support. We've kind of been testing out and using Google Meet and Zoom as our two platforms to share our screen and speak directly with our teachers. Google Meet, if anybody's not familiar, right, it's already in the Google Suite. We didn't like it very much at first because everybody has the same permissions. Basically, when you join a Google Meet, it's a professional setting, and essentially every user could mute each other and even kick each other out. So that doesn't work very well for a student kind of based instructional setting. Now, Meet did update, and they changed some of those permissions where only the person who set up the meeting has the ability to mute, and kick off. But one thing a lot of our teachers have been concerned with if they're going to use this type of instruction live is to be able to control the student's webcam. So Zoom gives the manager, let's call it, a lot more permissions to set and change. They can decide who's muted when and permanently. They can decide whose webcams are off and when. And personally, if I'm on a chat with my students, I'd love to be able to see them, but I don't need to, right? I don't necessarily need to see my students in their bedrooms or in their setting. If they can see me, they can see my screen, they can hear me, and then Zoom allows users to raise their hand. So then I could kind of call on students, unmute them. Unmute them so then I can kind of talk to them almost like in the classroom setting, one at a time, raise your hand. So, we've been doing these live online instructional supports basically for that reason. And I think we're definitely leaning towards Zoom, even though we're showing teachers both. And like you're doing now, we're recording them so that way teachers can go back and look at them.
Yeah.
And I think that's open now. If anybody's on there, they could probably see some of the topics and even watch some of those past recordings.
And sorry, geez, what Alex is referring to, Ray posted up further in the chat. It's bit.ly/tiger1, and one is spelled out ONE, which is their, as Alex was mentioning, sort of their updated web version of a newsletter that they're supporting their teachers with. Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Kaplan, Jeff. Good morning, Joe. Alex V also just made sure to explain to us his lame joke. He said, lame joke from me. The auto message said, say something so you guys would know I was there. So he said something. Love it. Someone said, good morning. Today's my first class conference using Meet. I'll update how it goes. Make sure if you are commenting, let us know your name there, because Facebook does not show us your name in here. Kaplan says Zoom works well. So, and Amanda, good morning, Amanda. So Jeff Kaplan, the other night we were talking. So this past Thursday, he, after the daily drop, and Ray offered just to connect on Zoom with any teachers that wanted to chat. Jeff was one of the ones that did that. Jeff had never heard of Zoom before. Got off the Zoom chat with Ray and like 8 or 9 others. Immediately called his co-teacher and said, we need to use this. They got on with their students that night, got to do face-to-face. He had to go find his dog. Something was going on with his dog. So he like took his students on a video tour of his house to find his dog. And then they spent the next like 30 minutes of all his students introducing him and his co-teacher to their pets, which was a really unique thing. Which I said, okay, this is a time where we find a lot of negatives, a lot of bad things to talk about. But this was a really cool opportunity. They were able to engage with the students in a way they never had, like a look into the world. And what I said is, how more connected are we than through our pets, right? I mean, what connects us better than that? So kind of a cool thing of really neat where Jeff saw that positive piece of this whole situation that we're in. So good morning. Mark Heller's in here. Good morning. Lisa A says, been checking out your site. What great resources for your faculty. Yeah. Not to pump up Alex, but Alex has always done a great job of making sure that he's there for his teachers. I know you do a lot of videos like walkthroughs and stuff like that. We've shared out many times in the past your I can't think of what you call it. It's like your menu board of tech tools. Really cool.
I kind of set up as a SAMR, the SAMR model, what tools I use with my kids. So that if you want to see that, it's SAMR, SAMR.MrOrisTech.com.
So say that again for me.
It's SAMR, SAMR.MrOrisTech.com. And Oris is ORIS.
That's a really cool one. It just gives you a layout of all these different tech tools and stuff you can use. So someone said, I want to use Zoom, but our district won't approve the app because they are afraid students will contact each other. We have Schoology and use conferences, but it's not very user-friendly in my opinion. I think that might have been from Joe.
I know one. I would say
you guys aren't Schoology, are you? You're Google, aren't you?
More Google Class. A few teachers use Zoology. Sorry. Schoology. One thing about Zoom, districts, this is hard. Districts don't have to open it up for students, because if a teacher hosts a Zoom, the student doesn't actually have to log in. They're using a link to join. They can sign in with their Google account. So I guess depending on your Google admin, what they can allow, what they decide to allow. And again, that's going to be at each district's discretion. But Zoom definitely has a lot more control. And those of you who are using Meet with Students for the first time, you're probably going to find that out, that there's things in there you wish you had a little bit more control over. Students can't raise their hand. They can unmute themselves. And those aren't bad things, but if you got 30 kids in there, they
can create a distraction that you don't need in this type of setting. So that's where Zoom, I really do think potentially is good. So it's Adam that's using Meet, and he's asking Alex, how easy is it to record? How are you guys recording your Meet sessions?
It's very easy. So first thing with Google Meet, it has to be enabled in your Google admin, and that takes 24 hours to update. So once you're in a Meet, there is a toolbar at the bottom, and in the lower right, you'll find 3 dots, that 3-dot menu that'll kind of open up more settings, and one of them is record. So it's super easy. You don't have to do it from the beginning of the meeting. You can pause in the middle, and then it just downloads directly to Google Drive.
Mm-hmm.
you'll find a new Google Meet folder that it creates for you, and it puts them right in there. So some of the ones that I posted on Tiger One, their office hours. We basically, if nobody showed up, I had kind of questions I was going to answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then as people asked questions, we kind of took it in different directions, but I kind of
Okay.
posted those topics there as well.
So Adam, it sounds like the biggest piece is to make sure that that is enabled by whoever controls your Google admin, so that you have the ability to go down there and record. So let us know if you have trouble with that. We could probably either connect you with Alex, or I might be able to stumble our way through it as well. So so Megan, who is this? Is it wait? I'm not sure who says this, but I want to use Zoom, but our district won't approve that. We already talked through that.
And
Someone said marvelous Monday, marvelous Monday to you too. Megan says currently aren't allowed to use video chat with any students or parents, hoping that changes soon, especially if the district, the distance learning. I imagine there's probably a lot of districts, Megan, that aren't in a position, weren't ready for this in a lot of little ways. And one of the ways might have been maybe they didn't have approval for that yet. That are probably working on that. I hope so. I hope you're, if not, talking to your district to get that done. So,
so Jeff,
Todd down at Tech. Go ahead.
I'd say a few suggestions if they're not allowed to use video chat.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So one thing, video chat, we usually think of as what we're doing right now is live, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I doubt the district has any bans or concern about teachers sending videos through their
Sure.
domain and then receiving videos
Mm-hmm.
back. So whether that's through Flipgrid, whether that's through Google Classroom, we use something called School Video Recorder. It's basically,
Okay.
if you were to Google it, it's a Chromebook app, and that's all it does. It just unlocks your webcam very easily, opens it up. You hit, kind of like test my microphone and camera. You hit record, you hit save to drive, and then you can share it with a link. So if teachers don't want to go through an outside platform like Flipgrid, where you're recording a video message, sending it to your students, and then asking them to send a video back, you could do the same thing in Classroom with this tool, because you can record a 2-minute video or 30-second question, and then ask your
Mm-hmm.
students to record a video back, and you could do it safely through Classroom. So that takes away the live video chat.
Yep.
If they're worried about live video, which I mentioned with Zoom, you can shut off webcams. I'm not sure if that's
Sure.
what they're into, but there's Google Voice, and I won't speak much on it because I haven't used it, but I know that Google Voice is basically dialing into a web conference call. So there's no
Mm-hmm.
video involved. I'm not sure what the settings are, what the user management stuff is. But I would have said we've been recommending that for parent calls, right? So
You could
if
also do that. Well, you could do the same thing, sticking to voice by sending them either. I think with
yes,
Zoom, and I know for sure with Meet, you can
yep,
send just the dial-in number.
exactly,
So just don't share the video link. Then they'll just
exactly.
have
Good point.
you'll see videos, but it'll just be everyone's phone numbers. Or you can do. I think you can do the same with Zoom. I'm not 100% sure, but I know you can do that with Meet. So you can get around that. I do think. If that's Megan Deegan that mentioned that, I do. She does a lot with Flipgrid, and so I know she's doing that. So it sounds to me like if that's her, that's the
Yeah.
the live portion. But yeah, I love that there's ways to get around that. Like you said, I think doing the videos and send them out, if you can't do live, at least that's getting your face in front of them, and they're seeing you, they're hearing your voice, they're still getting you, right? Which I think is a big piece of where we're at right now. So
That's very important right now for the social emotional connectedness.
Can you mention that? What was the link again? It's Classroom Video Recorder. Is that what it's called?
School Video Recorder.
School Video Recorder, and that's a Chrome extension.
Actually, Jeff, can you do your screen share for a moment? Can you pull up?
I can.
We talked about the SAMR model, samr.mroristech.com.
Yeah.
See if that gets you there, and I can kind of show you that resource. And while you do that, I wanted to mention the next thing on Tiger One. I had talked about how we're doing live instructional support.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend this second thing, and you're not going to be able to see it very well because it's locked to our domain, but we're using Google Groups for a Q&A. So basically, everybody in our domain has access to it, and this allows our team to answer any question with fidelity. So a teacher can go in there and post a question, and then if I have a chance, I'll get on an answer, but so will our middle school media specialist, so will our high school CTIS. And that way we can see how they're answering questions and we could do it the same way. The other thing, we know not everybody's going to use this discussion board. Last week I got more texts, I think, in a day than I would get in a week, and emails. So what we've kind of been doing is taking all those questions. I would get a text and I would answer the teacher through text, but I would take their question, post it on our discussion board, and then post my answer with it. So that way teachers and our instructional staff can kind of go to the discussion board and see, like, okay, what, is my question already on there? Is there something I can add? How is somebody else answering this question? Because we have a team text message thread. It's impossible. I was cooking dinner and I looked at my phone. I had 50 messages, right, from our team thread. Yeah. So instead of then talking about it through text message, every single question we get, we're kind of using that. So yeah, I see you pulled up, it's called School Video Recorder. Yep. It's literally just an app that you add to your Chromebook or your Chrome browser, and there's the 4 steps. You can see it. It's name it, test your mic and video camera, record, and then stop and save to drive.
Gotcha. Very cool. So then it just saves to drive, which is great. So I want to jump in. We've got some people coming here. So Todd in Texas says, we are meeting in PLC today in Meet. I'm hosting a virtual happy hour with my colleagues later on in Zoom. Oh, I love that, Todd, the happy hour. That sounds, if it's what I think it is, that sounds great. We actually did a neighborhood happy hour yesterday afternoon, all in our driveways. All my neighbors went out and we were all in our driveways with a drink and sharing. So it's that finding ways to be social. I know, like, we've seen a lot of different groups of teachers jumping on just doing Zoom hangouts, and we saw some that there was a group that went for a walk and they all just like connected for their walk and things like that. So doing that type of stuff is just awesome. Someone says my 8th grade team uses Google Meet to connect before and after our school day. Also use it for office hours for our students. Adam says, thank you for all the information about how to record. He's going to do a run through now. He's got a meeting at 9:30. So he says, you're awesome. He has to be talking about you. Let's see. Megan says, I definitely use Flipgrid a lot right now. I've been recording videos and sending it to them too. I was hoping to do a live platform if they wanted to, but I know that's going to take some time. Megan, we can work on that. Megan also did an awesome 4-part series. If you've never used Flipgrid, over on youtube.com/teachbetterteam. You can get that from teachbetter.com as well. But Megan did a 4-part series of just how to get going with Flipgrid. So it's one video, just how to set everything up, how to create your first grid, how to create multiple grids, and then what she does as far as her daily check-ins with her students. So it's really, really great over there. Joe says, if this whole situation teaches us anything, I'm finding a lot of students do not know how to use their technology. They're consumers. So I want to propose next year that we institute some sort of tech class, middle, high school. That's from Joe, which that just makes me think of you and the presentations and stuff you work on a lot, Alex, which is you've been preaching for a long time of trying to help students become creators, not consumers, right? And understanding this. And what I have noticed, and I said it the other day, is that I love our school district here. Stowe is a phenomenal district. Teachers are amazing, and they're working so hard right now to do this. But what I've noticed is a lot of teachers were not ready for this because they've never had to be. Which is true everywhere, but there's a lot of tools that they're trying to learn right now that they've had at their disposal for 3 years. And I don't fault them in any way, shape, or form. It's just one of those things of like where I think, people in your position, it's so important for us to continue. And I think out of this, this is going to happen by nature, is utilizing these tools and understand how we can use these tech tools all the time. And if you're using them all the time and your students are familiar with it and you're familiar with it, a flip to this still isn't easy by any means, but I believe it's easier, and probably less stressful, because you're like, oh, okay, so what I'm going to do now is just flip from doing videos in a classroom to just doing them at home. And I think that's a really important thing that I've noticed from here, is that we're getting a lot of stuff from our teachers who are doing a phenomenal job, saying, they're communicating a ton, but a lot of what they're communicating is, I'm learning this too. And not just I'm learning how to do this without you in my classroom, but I'm learning how to use this tool. Right. And my first reaction was, you've had this tool for 4 years. Like, why do you know how to use it? And I'm like, oh man, like they haven't had to, and no one's really pushed it. And so I think it's important for us to take that away. And I think that there's another silver lining, another positive, is that the amount of tools and adaptability that teachers are just getting now out of necessity and just adapting and learning stuff is going to be a positive thing for moving forward as well. But it's been it really cool to see how many teachers are just diving in and figuring things out. So
Yeah. And
really important.
I would say we've been talking. Education's not going to be the same after this. There's going to be a
No,
much bigger, and I think because of the fact that teachers are now being forced to use it,
yeah.
much more of a blended environment. And it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy to see. I've been in the same buildings for 5 years, and we joked earlier, the people who have been avoiding
Yeah.
me are now
I was hoping
I'm
you'd say
best
that.
best friends with. But
Yeah.
and to see too, our last day was Friday. We had a teacher who was starting to stream lessons on Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Some teachers have been not prepping for this, but have been keeping things in their toolbox, knowing how to use them,
Yeah.
and now they're utilizing them. And one quick comment for instructional specialists, tech coaches: do everything you can to do to model those
Yeah.
online instruction tools now. That's why we're doing a daily meet or Zoom, because we
Yeah.
want to model what it looks like and have the teachers practice with it so they can lead their own. We want to have a discussion board. We kicked around the idea of having a Google Classroom. Um, and principals, usually most of the principals in our buildings have a Google Classroom already.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all those different ideas of, you are instructionally there to support them, but to model.
Mm-hmm.
When I teach a lesson, I do my best to teach first period, co-teach second period, and observe third period.
Okay.
I want them to take over that role and responsibility, because I can't be in every classroom every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's true. I think that's really, really important, is that don't just tell them, hey, here's a tool to use. Show them, hey, here, this is how it's going to look from your student's perspective. Now now you can figure out how to use that. So,
mhm,
yeah, that is the me of the greatest thing, or one of the greatest things about this. A week ago, teachers were literally crying because they had to go tech verse. This week, they are going for it.
yeah,
That's from Kimberly. Absolutely right. Like that's been the really, I think, an awesome thing from because of where we're at and how many teachers we get to work with. Is seeing right out at the start, it was a little bit of panic, a lot of frustration, a lot of stress. And then as
tears,
we teachers get for a lot of fear, right? Then
and
as we get into
tears.
tears. Oh yeah, tears too, fears, tears. You're right. But as teachers going, like you said, coming in this week or in the second week, like teachers are now getting it. They're grabbing it and they're going with it. It's really cool to see. So good morning, Kimberly. Appreciate that comment there. Someone said for some districts, it isn't that they haven't had so much as they haven't been allowed to. I hope this will change. I think that's a huge change you're going to see, is districts that were maybe a little slower to get to it and maybe didn't allow their teachers to explore with as much tech and to explore with different ways and means of teaching, are now, like, they're being forced to deal with it now. And I think
Mhm,
you're going to see that as it works and we're able to keep learners going along their path, whether it bumpy or not right now, a lot of districts are going to see, oh, like, hey, we can do this. So now we can overcome things in the future, missed days, crazy snow, breaks, or whatever it
mhm,
might be. We can do things. Maybe we can go blended. Maybe we can allow them to do more work independently as they go. I think you're going to see a huge shift in, me personally, in universities and at the collegiate level. I think a lot of people are realizing right now that, oh, I don't really need to go to a college course. I don't need to show up every single day. As long as I have a professor that's willing to give me stuff, we can do this virtually. We can do things, which I think is going to open up the door for a lot more people too, potentially. And I think you're going to see a lot of universities, if they haven't already, really step up their online game. That's just my personal opinion. So we'll see how that goes. But
yeah,
one thing I did want to mention, I haven't mentioned it yet. These daily drop-ins are happening every Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And then we are taking these. They are all going from here that we put on our YouTube page. They'll also be put onto our Facebook page and then shared out. But also they were going on to the Teach Better Talk podcast as a bonus episode. So if you're listening to the episode right now, if you're listening to the audio of this, you can always come into the group and get all the resources that are being shared in the comments and see all the people that are sharing links in here as well. So these get saved here in the group. So if you're listening right now, or if you're watching on YouTube, or watching on our Facebook page, or catching this somewhere else on social media, if you go to teachbettergroup.com, it brings you here. Or if you go to facebook.com/groups/teachbetterteam, or if you just search Teach Better Team on Facebook, this will come up as one of the places. So getting in this group is an amazing group of educators that you can connect with and stuff too. Alex, someone is asking, can you repeat the SAMR link again? I don't know why it's not letting me bring up my comments, so I can't comment right now. So
Sure.
I have it here. I can throw it up on the.
Now, if you bring up the page again in your screen share, it'll. I think that I have the link kind of plastered, if you will, on.
Yeah, it has the big link.
Yeah, so it's SAMR is SAMR .MrOrisTech.com. I think you could see it there in the lower right-hand corner of Jeff's image.
I'm going to put it up on the screen here. SAMR.
MrOrisTech.com.
All right, so I'm going to throw it up right there in a big link there so you can see it.
Looks good.
And this is a really cool, like you can see this matrix that he's got right here. It breaks down to SAMR, but it gives you so many different tools here that you can go and get. And each one of these is a link. And correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, each one of these, do they link all to a page where you're breaking it down, or do they link?
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, I can't say all of them. I would say 90% of those, if you click on it, if you click on the icon, it will take you to a landing page that I kind of described the tool a little bit, hopefully showed some student examples. And I always talk about this as not something that you want to box in a tool. It's how you use it. So just because I decided to put Screencastify as, I forget even where it is on the chart, but the idea is it's kind of in its basic form how you use it.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, go ahead.
And you have an augmentation. I think.
Yeah. And you could absolutely use it in different ways.
So
SAMR basically is how do you use technology for instruction versus how we would traditionally do it. So, paper, pencil versus typing on a Google Doc is just substituting one writing style for another. But when you add sharing and comments and publishing, then it kind of takes it to a different level. And that's basically what the chart stemmed from. And we also use it a lot for student choice. So saying you're going to do some type of poster, here's 3 choices. You can do a comic strip, you can do a Google drawing, you can do Canva. And so it gave our students some choice on what tool they wanted to learn, because the teacher, they're just grading it based on the content, not the tool.
Yeah. Which I love. Just this has always been a great resource that we've shared a lot. Like just if you're watching right now, what Alex has done is broken down. Like down the bottom part here is just like a typical assignment that you do traditionally, and then you break it down based on the SAMR model, moving upward of how you would integrate tech into it. So it's a really great resource. And like I said, each one of those links off to either, I think like you said, I think almost all of them link off to an explanation page of how you would potentially use it. And then there's also links to then get to that tool and go sign up and use it and stuff like that too. So, so really great tool. So that's awesome. Ray has also posted that in the comment. Someone else did too. So thanks. Appreciate that, guys.
Yes, thank you.
I just want to touch on some other little things here. So some of the things that we're continuing to do here, obviously we're doing these daily drop-ins, and when we get lucky, we're bringing in awesome people like Alex. I know we have a few more lined up this week of guests dropping in to help us get different viewpoints and different ideas from where they are in education and how they do things. Some of the things that the team is also doing, we're continuing to do our blog posts every week, but we are really trying to focus on things now that are posts and content that are very specific to the sort of challenges that we're facing right now. So those are continuing to happen. Our mastery chat's still going on every Thursday, 8 p.m. We're working with our moderators to really adjust the topics and the questions to also be more supportive in this time. This week, I'm moderated, and we're talking about some of the tools that are available and stuff too. So hoping that it just is a ton of sharing and stuff going on this week. We still do have our typical two podcast episodes every week that are interview episodes. We'll be talking to some awesome educators and sharing their story. And then all of these drop-ins are actually then going on to the podcast as well. So actually 7 different podcast episodes going out every week right now. We have a new course that just came out led by Ray, which is Supporting a Virtual Classroom, where she not only breaks down some of the tools that you can use, but some of the things you should be focusing on as well and some ways to make that work. So awesome job there. Then we got a bunch of new downloads that we just launched. There's a I don't know if I'm going to remember them all. I wrote a couple down. There's a weekly distance learning planning template. There's a distance learning checklist. There's the do's and don'ts of distance learning. There's working with SEL through COVID-19. And then there's a book club activity menu that's up there as well, which is really cool. We also put up something that had been in the works that we had put out yet as a simple template for any of the grid method users. It's a grid method sub template, like sort of guide, like for directing a substitute that might be in your classroom unexpectedly through the grid method as well. So continuing to do that. We just wrapped up our Teaching on an Island live PD series in this group. Those videos, of course, are all saved. We are looking for more and more. We're exploring with some other ideas and other ways that we can continue to support you. So there will be some additional live PD opportunities coming up as well. So we're going to continue to do these and do everything we can to help support you for as long as we need to during this. We're going to keep trying to listen to you and what you guys need and doing our best to do it. So that's still happening. So Alex, let me ask you just in general. So let's see. So last week you guys went on, and then this week you're on spring break. What's been sort of the biggest challenge, or maybe the biggest fear that your teachers have expressed when this all started, or maybe that they're continuing to express? What's been the biggest sort of worry point? What are you getting the most calls and text about right now?
Well, I would say providing content to your kids has been the biggest thing. And what is that content? So one of the best ideas that our teachers have, and a lot of teachers have, is especially elementary, and it can go up even higher, but I want to read to my kids. I want to pick up that book and I want to read it live or recorded to my kids. And so the challenge of that has been, well, be careful, because you're breaking copyright law if you pick up a book that's copyrighted and you read it to your kids. You're republishing it kind of without permission. So we've been trying to steer our teachers in, I believe so. On the Tiger One homepage, this isn't something that I think is, it's under. So we've talked about a couple sections on Tiger One, live instructional support, Q&A, and beneath that there's like 10 drop downs of different categories, from online management systems to direct instruction recordings. And these are kind of just links to help you. But there's a section called Reading Aloud Online and Copyright. Okay. And our media specialists have done a great job finding authors and publishers who are either, one, allowing teachers to read their books without or with permission, right? Or kind of providing resources where those authors are reading their own. Yeah. And that's been such a challenge, because it's so hard. They're going to read those books in their classroom, and that's not breaking copyright law. But now, because we're in an online instructional environment, that's in most cases not allowed. You know, and I wanted to mention this earlier. We've been talking a lot about this transformation of education, and it's just making learning more accessible. You know, when you said, and you talked about after this, how we're going to have a much more blended environment moving forward. Really, what we're doing is we're going to be making our instruction and resources more available to our students. So that's not going to be a bad thing, you know?
Yeah, I agree. That's I'm sorry, I'm adding your website on here. I'm doing two things. Make sure I got those both right. So, because Mr. Orr's Tech, they can get to your SAMR model from that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, so Patricia Polacco, am I saying her name? Polacco is allowing educators to read aloud her books. So I'm glad. It's really cool that your media specialists have been doing that, because that's what I was going to mention, is that I've seen a lot of different actually publishers also doing sort of blanket licensing over all that are being allowed. Because I've seen people reading it. So that's a unique challenge, or a unique thing that people need to think about, is that copyright infringement right now. A lot of people probably don't think about, because a lot of people are reading books to their kids and stuff. And while I hope that not many publishers or authors will go get teachers right now, you never know, right?
Right.
So, just being careful like that is great. So if you go to the bit.ly/Tiger1, like Alex said, if you scroll down, there is a subject in there where his specialists have been using that. So I mean, that's amazing, which is really good. So you can get those, because there's plenty of publishers and authors that are opening up and saying, hey, yes, read my books.
Yeah,
absolutely,
and
which is great.
And shout out to those authors and the companies that have gone above and beyond to make learning tools accessible. You know, all the companies that are offering free upgrades, take advantage of them. You know, learn, you know, pick some tools, use them, learn them. Yeah,
it's such a great time to test them out, to try something new. You know, just you know, just to toy with it. You've got more grace right now from your administrators and from your parents and your students than you've ever had. So you may be able to find a tool that's really, really good and work with your students to help test it out and stuff like that. So, Alex, man, I really appreciate you coming on with me. Yeah. It's an early morning when technically you're on spring break, so you didn't have to get up. I mean, you probably were up with the boys, but if they're anything like my kids, they were already up anyway. So, but really exciting. I'm glad you were able to jump on here. Give me, because I'm trying to remember, I'm going to forget it, but your Twitter handle is
Mr. Orris Tech.
That's what I thought.
Mr. Orris Tech, yep. And if any questions, you could email to at mrorristech@gmail.com.
So there's all the resources there. So their Tiger One site, the first one, Alex's individual site, which has got all kinds of really great tech resources and tech integration ideas. And then you can always reach out to him on Twitter. If he doesn't get back to you, let me know and I'll yell at him. I'll make sure he gets back to you. He's got a couple, 100 some teachers hitting him up every day too. But really excited, really just super appreciative of you coming on. Your viewpoint in this is a really cool one, because you're trying to support teachers, and that's what we're trying to do here. So I feel like the people that have been watching right now are getting so much out of it. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure you get into this group so you can catch all the different things that were shared in the comments. I tried to read them all. I tried to make note of all the different links by actually saying them out loud, but just in case, you can get the links right in here in the group, and keep checking teachbetter.com. We got more stuff coming there. We're working on more courses, more downloads, more video tutorials, and more PD opportunities to do that. So we'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Chad Ostrowski is coming in tomorrow morning to lead the drop-in, so you don't want to miss that. You want to be able to chat with him, especially if you are a Grid Method user and have any questions or ways to utilize that. That's a great time to get that from Chad. So appreciate you, Alex. Excited if you have enjoyed Alex Orris this morning, he will be at Teach Better 20 as well. So you'll be able to come hang out with him, see him for a couple of days as well. So thank you to both of you. This was helpful. Totally listening while I work. You rock. I don't know who you are, but you rock too, Facebook user. So appreciate that. Really appreciate it. It's been amazing seeing how many people are chiming into these and checking into these, where I know, if you're anywhere west of us, you're looking at an hour or 2 hours earlier. It's 7 a.m. and 6 a.m. So it's amazing that you're still getting up early and trying to do everything you can do to continue to grow and learn and be better for your students. So that's amazing. I've said this a whole bunch this past week. I'm going to keep saying it, that I said it at our conference, that room of teachers trying to learn and grow is what gives me hope for the future. I'm getting even more these last 2 weeks of teachers just doing everything, and the sharing and the just willing to go after and do whatever they can to be better for their students. Like, truly awesome. So you guys are all amazing. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Chad here. If you need anything at all, reach out, let us know, and we'll keep doing everything we can to support you. So appreciate it. Have an awesome Monday.